Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast, All Matters Financial. Today's subject is on cash flow planning. Our guest speaker today is Alex Savage, and she is one of our senior advisors. Alex, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've been in the industry for about 16 years, financial advisor for about 13. Love my job, love meeting all sorts of different people and genuinely trying to make a difference and help people. I mostly deal with clients who have their own businesses. So I work with an accountancy practice, so we work in quite a similar space. A lot of my clients are either still active in the business or exiting and leading into retirement. So that's probably quite a big area for me. And with that usually comes all sorts of facets of inheritance tax planning as well.
Good, thank you. So just moving on to our key topic, would you just like to run through what we mean by cash flow planning?
Sure. The way I see cash flow planning is probably a couple of questions really. It's looking at a can I afford it plan and does it make sense? So clients look at cash flow planning for all sorts of different reasons. And effectively, we use tools at Pareto where you plug in all of your information about what assets you've got, what income you've got, what do you spend, and that's probably on a very basic level. But actually, you might want to make gifts to your children, help them get on the property ladder, saving for retirement, saving for a boat or whatever. People have all sorts of different objectives, and it's making sure that whilst you've got all your different investments and savings in place, is it going to meet your needs for the long term and not just looking at over the next year or so?
So effectively, we're trying to plan for future occurrences that we don't know what may happen.
That's exactly what it is, yeah.
Good. And why would you say to our listeners out there, why do you think cash flow planning is so important in what we do as a company?
Because it's making sure that your plans actually come to fruition. So whether you're, leading into retirement, if you've got a goal, you want to retire at a certain age and you want to afford a certain lifestyle, you need to be able to map that out and have a look at, actually, looking at your what ifs, what if X, Y, Z happened? Would my plan still work? How much do I need to save towards that retirement to make sure that you can retire when you want to? And it's not just retirement. So we use cash flow planning a lot with people who are exiting the businesses. So we quite often will see that, when you've built up a business over so many years, that is your baby, that is your retirement plan. And quite often people have a value in mind of what they want to achieve for that sale, that exit. And quite often that's plucked from just a figure in their head. And actually, and quite often, people will say, actually, if I could get a couple more million, I'd be happy, or that would work for me, or it's not enough. But it's quantifying that, what is enough? And actually, by using cash flow planning, we can have a look at, if you accepted X amount for your business, this would give you the lifestyle that you're wanting throughout retirement. And we can build in those what ifs, what if there was a market crash, or what if you had unforeseen circumstances and needed to help family or pay for care and things like that. So it's building in all these different eventualities to make sure that you've still got a solid and robust plan.
And I think it works very well with accountants when they're looking at valuing your business for preparation to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the clients, as you say, they've got this arbitrary figure, but actually we can quantify it and try and make sure that with a specific figure, that will give that person the income to maintain the standard of living.
Absolutely that. So like I say, people will always have a figure in mind of what they want, but then what my job is to look at, actually, what do you need when that day comes and you hang up your hat and you decide to kind of sign a contract, sell a business? What do you need to live on? What other objectives have you got? Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to help your kids to buy a house? Have you got school fees to pay for still? Do you want to make some gifts? So it's making sure that everything works as a plan, and we're building in, like I mentioned before, all these different what ifs. A really relevant example would be, what if inflation goes up to 10, 11%? No one foresaw that happening a couple of years ago, and it's all of these different eventualities that we have to look at that can really railroad your plans.
Okay, good. So just moving on with regard to our clients, when do you think, for anyone listening, would be the best time to start to plan for this type of scenario?
I I think it's different for everybody and depends what your goals are. However, for example, if you're someone who's looking to potentially sell a business in a number of years, start as early as possible so you know what you need to get behind you and what your structure you need to have in place. I would say whatever really your goals are, start as early as possible, because the earlier you start your plan, then the easier it is to actually make that work for you. So even if you're someone that's starting early with your retirement savings in your 30s and your 40s or whatever, have an idea. It doesn't have to be a huge in-depth plan, but have an idea of what you want your future to look like and how much you can afford to save towards these different goals.
And that plan is definitely going to change, isn't it? So how often should clients review and adjust any cash flow modelling that we do with them?
Yeah. So typically we will encourage people to really review that plan every 12 months, or more often if you're someone whose circumstances change a lot. And we've got clients who, will spend a lot more than others and have ad hoc spends and things like that. So annually is probably fine. Me personally, I love a good cash flow plan. I've got my own. I probably update it every single month. But that's probably because of the job that I do and having young kids that cost me a fortune. But generally, I think an annual review of your plans is probably thereabouts.
Okay, great. So in summary for any of our listeners, would you just like to run through anything that clients should think about or listeners should think about if they are thinking about coming to us to look at a cash flow plan?
Sure. I'd say the biggest thing is probably having an awareness of what you spend and what you've got. A lot of people do come to us and say, I don't really know how much I spend. Just a simple spreadsheet. Have a look at what you've got coming in, what you've got going out. And we all probably waste money on things that we don't need to waste on, which is fun. It's fun to waste money sometimes and have frivolous spends, but also, have an idea of what you've got and have an idea of what your objectives are, and then we're there to bridge that gap in the middle to make sure that we can actually make sure you can achieve your objectives.
And we can help with that. We have some expenditure calculators, haven't we?
We do, yes.
So thank you for your time today, Alex. Just on to the random question that we do with every podcast. If money was no object and you could do anything, what would you like to do, even although you've just got a new place in Abersock?
So whilst we're kind of in this corporate world and, getting dressed up for work every day and coming into the city, actually I love nothing more than putting on my flip-flops and going down to the beach. So travelling for me and, just spending time on the beach is...
Can you actually travel anymore?
I do like a holiday.
Alex, thank you for your time today, and everyone, thank you for listening. This podcast is part of a series we have recorded. Please make sure you subscribe and check out the podcast episodes on who Pareto are, estate and tax planning, protecting your assets, looking at retirement planning, growing your wealth, protecting your business, employee benefits, and also business exit. As always, the information provided in our podcast is general in its nature and shouldn't be relied upon without seeking specific professional financial advice. If you'd like to speak to someone regarding your personal circumstances, please feel free to get in touch with myself or your advisor for a fee-free, no-obligation consultation. Thank you for your time.